Hello and welcome to another class of CSS. In this tutorial, we will learn how to use margins in CSS. So this margins they are very important. So make sure to learn these margins properly. So all this most of the CSS properties they are not very hard to learn and then use. So make sure to learn these margins very carefully. All right, so let's get started. So the css margin properties they are used to create a space around elements outside of any defined borders, and then with css you have full control over the margins. So when using margins in css, there are properties for setting the margins for each of these elements, like a margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and then margin left. So these are the margin properties we can use in css. So like whenever we open any browser, we have four sides: top, bottom, left, and right. So in all of these corners we can apply different values for each of these margins. So remember, these are the properties we can use to set the margins in css. So all of these margin properties can have the following videos. That means if you are using margin top or margin right or margin bottom or margin left, you can use the values specified here. So auto means the browser will calculate the margins automatically. All right, so depending on the browser, the value of the margin will be calculated. After that, length, it will specify a margin in pixel, point, centimeter, etc. After that, percentage, it will specify a margin in percentage of the width of the containing element. And then the next is we have is inherit. So inherit, if you use the value, this it will specify that margin should be inherited from the parent element. After that, we in the margin, remember we can use a negative value also. All right, so you will learn all these things when we look on the examples. So remember, negative values, we can use negative values in margins. So let's look into an example. Out here I have a simple HTML page. All right, so out here let's say we have a paragraph, and then out here in that paragraph we have css margins. All right, css margins. All right, so out here we have a small paragraph, and then when we look onto our browser, the output will look like this. All right, so out here, why does it appear here? It does appear here because we have defined inside our with our css. So out here I have selected paragraph as my element. That means I want to set the margins for a paragraph. You can set the margins for any elements inside our pages. It can be for headings, it can be for an images, it can be for tables, audio, video, so on. So you can set your margins for any elements. All right, so out here what we have defined is margin top 100 pixel. That means this particular paragraph will appear after 100 pixel. Right, margin bottom means from the bottom of our browser it will go by, it will take 100 pixel and then it will appear there. Margin right, from the right it will take 150 pixel. From the margin left it will take 80 pixels. So depending on your requirements, it does not mandatory that you have to use all of these at once. All right, if you want to apply only margin top, you can apply only margin top for that, and then you can uh, avoid this one also if you wish to. Right, so depending on your requirements, you can apply any of this or all of these margin properties. All right, margin top, that means how in short, let in brief, how far it will move away from that dop, margin dop. Or else margin bottom means how far it will move away from that particular border. All right, so in this example, this paragraph will appear margin top 100 pixel. That means 100 pixel away from the top. Right, margin bottom, margin right and left, and so on. So that is how we can set for a particular element inside our HTML pages. So the another way to write this one is we can write it this way also. So like let's say we have a small paragraph, the same paragraph as this one. So we are using the same example. In that example, you can, to shorten the code, it is possible to specify all the margin properties in one property. That means if you write margins, right, similar to this one, instead of writing margin top, bottom, right or left, if you want to use all of this at once, all right, so you can give value like margin 25 pixel, 50, 7500. So the first one, it will represent top margin, all right. Second one, it will represent right margin. Third one, it will represent bottom margin. After that, the last one, it will represent left margin. So if you crop all of these values into one margin, that means if you want to use all of those top margin, bottom margin, left margin, and then right margin, to shorten the code, you can write it this way. So if you write this way, this is the top margin, top, right, bottom. After that, this is the left margin. So both are same, but the way of writing is different. That's it. So it depends on our requirements. So whatever style you needed, you can create it that way. So the output will look like this inside our browser. All right. So that's how we can set a margin for any of the elements inside our web pages or web page. So that's all. Thank you so much, and then see you in the next class.